Hello everybody, my name is Kurt Miltenberger and I will be your professor this term for this math course. And I want to start off by, right off the bat, apologizing for having to introduce myself in this manner. It was not my intention to miss the very first class, and that definitely puts us off on a little bit of a strange beginning. But hopefully throughout the semester we will smooth things out and get back into a normal classroom environment, and this is not going to put us too far behind, I don't think, as I can do a lot of the stuff that I do during that first day via this video. So this video won't take that long. I always say that, and then I usually talk way longer than I need to. A little bit strange this semester that I don't have very many repeat students, so I guess that's good. They don't have to, hear me ramble on about stuff they've already know and heard. But when I get back next week, I'll answer any questions you might have that arose from this video or from the work that was assigned over the weekend, and then we will get going. So this is the 301 course, and it's the third of a sequence of 3 courses. So let's talk first about books. If you purchased a book, you went to ASU and you purchased a book for $280 and $281, that's the same book. So you'll still be using the Bilstein book, which you use for those 2 classes. If you are a transfer student and you don't have that Bilstein book, or if you returned it or lost it and you don't have your Bilstein book, then there's a supplemental text that you can buy. So it's a little bit cheaper than having to buy the book all over again. It's just the chapters of the book that we will cover in this class. And so you would want to buy the supplemental text instead of buying the whole Bilstein book. And then there's a second book that everybody needs to buy, and that's called the Stump book. It's the last version that I saw was like purplish, I think it is, and it's just got a lot of really rich, great problems for us to go through and do. I think they really make us think, and it's a good book. I like it a lot. As far as other materials that are required, there aren't any. If you're wondering if you need a calculator for this class, no, you do not. In fact, you're not allowed to use a calculator. So those of you that are dependent on a calculator, I'm going to try and break you of that and have our brain do the thinking, because what I've found is when I've allowed students to use calculators, either in my college courses or when I was an algebra teacher, they didn't think, and whatever the calculator told them the answer was, that's what they wrote down, even if the answer made no sense. So one thing you'll hear from me constantly in this class is, I want you to think. Whatever you think is fine with me. And then I'll try and get you to the right place as far as the problem is asking us. But we have to be able to think and analyze and evaluate. One frustrating thing that I think students have with me as their instructor is, very few times this semester am I going to ever tell you if you're right or wrong. You're going to ask me, did I do it right? And my answer is going to be the same every single time. What do you think? We want to create students or people that don't need the validation of someone else to know if they're right or wrong. They know they're right or wrong because their answer is the only answer that could make sense. So the way they figure that out, perhaps, is they do it a second time, a different way. If they get the same answer, then their answer is probably correct. They use their analytics. They analyze what it's asking them. Does my answer seem like it would make sense? It does because, or it doesn't because. And that's what I want us to do. So in this class a lot, you're going to ask me if you did it right, and I'm going to say, what do you think? So you don't need a calculator. In fact, I won't allow you to use a calculator on the test. If you want to use it for your homework, I can't stop you. But the sooner you break yourself of your addiction to your calculator, the better you are going to be at math. So that's right. That's what I believe on that. As far as other materials, there really aren't any. I'll have most of the materials that we might need for the course. A lot of hands-on manipulatives and things like that. Okay, next I'm going to talk a little bit about the syllabus. I'm not going to go through the syllabus, but here's what I'm going to encourage you to do is before we meet on Tuesday, go through the syllabus, get an idea of how it's laid out so you understand how things are assigned and when they're due. Take a look at where the points come from. The majority of the points come from 3 tests. We have a test 1, test 2, and then a final. And one thing you want to know about all of my tests is they're all cumulative. So the material that's on the first test is also on the second test. And the reason I do that is because if it's important, I need you to know it. And if I put it on a test, that means it's important. So I've never given a test in any of my 20 plus years of teaching where if they took a chapter 7 test, they never had to worry about chapter 7 again. If they failed it, who cares? It's not going to be seen again. So this encourages students to go back and learn the stuff that they didn't learn the first time through. And if I want them to know material, I have to find ways to encourage them to learn it if they didn't learn it, and that's one of the best ways. So your test will be cumulative. Your first test will be the first part of the book. The second test will be everything from the first test, and then the current stuff, and then your last test, of course, will cover everything. So there'll be some concepts that are on all 3 tests. Obviously, I can't test everything on all 3 tests, but I'll pick and choose kind of topics and concepts that I think are worthy. So that's probably the first thing that most people want to know. And then there's a algebra project that I'll explain. That's due towards the end of the term. And then there's participation and attendance and that sort of thing. You get points for that. And then there's homework. So and here's how the homework works. Is there's absolutely no reason to cheat on the homework. That is the craziest thing you could do, because you get credit for doing it, not for doing it correctly. But you have to have it done, and you have to have the steps so that I can see that if you're doing it wrong, I know what you're doing, so then I can help you. If it's a list of answers, I'm not going to give you points for that because I don't know what you're doing. I am all about the process, not the outcome. So you can get full, not full points, but you can get a lot of points on my tests if your answer is wrong, but your process is correct, especially since I'm not allowing you to use a calculator. I know that under the stress of a test, you might be, going fast and you make a little mistake. Okay, but if I see your process was correct and you were doing the problem correctly, but you happen to make a little mistake and got the answer wrong, who cares? You got the process right. That's what I care about. So your homework is a good place to practice that. If you are the type of person who thinks the only thing that matters in math is answers, then you probably should be looking at engineering, because engineers have to get the answer right. Teachers have to be able to show why their answer is right. And that's why I need to see the work that you're doing, see your process, draw pictures, draw diagrams, explain things in words. That's what teachers of mathematics do, is we get someone else to understand how we did it, not just that our answer is right. So that's what I expect to see on your homework. And then of course I'd like to see that on the tests as well. The grading scale is the same as all the other classes, but something you should be aware of. If you want to get an A, you need to get 93%. So, it's not 90%, 91%, 93. Same thing for B, it's an 83. Same thing for C, it's 73. So below a 73% means you're not getting credit for the course. So let's not get to that point. If you start to have struggle at all, please let me know. I'm very willing and able to meet with you as needed throughout the semester. And willing to do so, which I guess I should go back and how do you get a hold of me? By far the best way to get a hold of me is to text me. Please text me anytime, day or night. If I'm already in bed or I'm busy, as soon as I check my phone, I will get back to you. If you email me, I usually check that every, once or twice a day. So I can get back to you relatively soon on email, but I don't always get to my email. If you call me, especially this semester, I'll get back to you around December 15th, because I don't even have a class on the campus where my office is this term. So I don't think I'm going to be in my office checking my voicemail at all. So if you leave me a voicemail, there's a good chance I may not get it till the end of the semester. So definitely text is by far the best way, and my cell phone number is on my syllabus, so you should be able to get that. Now, when you're going through the syllabus, one of the areas you want to zone in on are they're red. I put them in reds because that means it's different than other classes. A lot of stuff that's in the black, that means that this is the same thing that every syllabus has to have on it per ASU regulations. And then the things that have to do with my exams and my homework and my attendance and my cell phone policy, I put all that stuff in red to help you identify kind of where the key stuff is. I'll tell you right now, on the cell phones, I really don't want to see them in my classroom. I just don't. But I understand that there are things beyond your control outside of my classroom, and you may need to get someone may need to get a hold of you. You got a car in the shop or whatever. If that's the case, please come up and just let me know before class that you need to have your cell phone out on your desk so that you can see when your emergency situation is contacting you. Outside of that, if you don't talk to me beforehand, I do not want your cell phones out. We cannot multitask. Science has shown neither men or women can multitask. We can only think about one thing at a time. And when you're in my classroom, I want us thinking about mathematics. So please don't have your cell phones out. It's just a distraction that we don't need. So anyway, so that sort of stuff is in the syllabus. So you can read that. It's in red. And if you have any questions or concerns or thoughts, when we come back together next week, I will address anything that was unclear or you're not sure what I was talking about. But it's all in the syllabus there. Okay, so what about the rest for today? So there's a couple of videos that I've posted to the Blackboard folder, and you might want to familiarize yourself with it. There's a place where you can turn your homework in when you have homework due, and you could take a picture. If it's a PDF, you could upload the PDF, whatever's easiest for you. Just a digital copy is all I need. You don't need to turn anything paper into me. And then it's always going to be due at 11:59 on whatever day that we say. We're going to kind of talk about that on your schedule and my schedule. Right now, I have things due on Sunday at 11:59. So if you could there's two things that you need to do. There's an interest inventory. It's real easy. A few questions, you answer yes or no, that type of thing. And then you can type some stuff to me. Let me know a little bit about you. I like to get to know my students as best I can. And then there's one pigs and chickens problem that I'd like you to do. You don't, like I said, you don't have to be able to figure it out. I don't care. I want to be able to see what you did, see the process you went through, see the work that you did, and see kind of where your thinking was. There are lots of ways to solve the pigs and chicken problem. There's not one way. There's 5 or 6 different ways you could use to approach that problem. So do whatever you think, and don't erase so that I can see all of your thinking. In fact, in my classroom when I was an algebra teacher, I didn't allow my students to use pencil. They were required to use pen. So I think that's better because then I can see their mistakes. The mistakes are the things that I need to address. I don't need to talk to them about stuff they're getting right. That doesn't make any sense. They're getting it right. I need to see the stuff they're making mistakes on. And if kids erase incorrect mistakes, I can't help them. So I really prefer ink to be used. In fact, you'll see a lot. 4 colors is what we do. I use red, blue, black, and green constantly, and I used to require my students to use a 4-color click pen. So when I was writing red, they're writing red. When I'm writing green, they're writing green. I don't require my college students to do that. You have handled your business to where you were able to get to college, but I believe you will see there's a lot of advantages to doing your work in color so that we can all be talking about the same part of the notes, the same part of the problem. So I will always use color. And I will address this a little bit more next week, and then I encourage you to follow along in the same color when you're taking your notes or whatever it might be. So anyways, so back to what you have to do. So there's an interest inventory. You're going to go through the survey. There's a video that I want you to watch. It's real quick. It's kind of funny. And then, of course, there's this video. And then the pigs and chicken problem. So the pigs and chicken problem is there, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. So there's a place for you to upload your work, and then you'll also see right below that link, there's a thing called answer keys. So typically when I give bookwork and you're like doing some calculations and stuff, people want to know, although I don't like telling you if you're right or wrong, people want to know if they're right or wrong. And a lot of times the feedback that they get from me maybe isn't fast enough. That's the biggest concern that I've had, is that the feedback they get is too slow. So I did this the last semester, last spring, and I did it again this summer. And I believe it really helped with people feeling like they knew how they were doing on their work, in a timely manner, is I will post the answer keys with the steps that you should be doing. I'll post this after, of course, it's due. So, you're not just straight copying me, which again, there's no reason to copy because you get credit whether it's right or wrong. Just as long as you do it the best you can, you get credit. But that way you can see, if you're one of those students who wants feedback, you can see, wow, he did 5 steps to get this answer. I only did 2 steps. Maybe I need to do a little bit more work so that it's clear how I'm getting from this step to the next step. So I think that will help a lot of people feel like they have a little bit better timely feedback. Okay, so let's see. So the last thing is the pigs and chicken problem. So what I'd like for you to do on this problem is, again, just show me your thinking. If you can come up with an answer, great. If you can't come up with an answer, what I don't want you to do is Google it. Yes, I'm sure the answer is out there on Google somewhere. I have not checked, but I'm very confident that the answer is out there somewhere. Please don't do that. I'd rather you do stuff that's completely wrong and has no bearing whatsoever on the problem, than to Google the correct answer and put it down. If you don't know how to do it and you Google it and you have the right answer, I won't know I need to help you because I'll feel like you understand it. If you do your own work and you're completely lost and confused, then I know that I need to give you some help. So if you want to get the most out of this class, you have to be able to communicate to me when you're not understanding. And a lot of times we do that by having work that is wrong. I'm going to figure out that you're lost and confused sooner or later. I can either... Okay, so I guess now would be a good time to let you know that I have 2 dogs, as you could just tell by the last doorbell ringing and them going nuts. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so I don't remember exactly where I left off, so if I repeat myself, I'm sorry, and I'm even more sorry if I skip something. But I think I was talking about the pigs and chickens. And so what I'd really like is just, do the best you can. And if you do it completely wrong, then I know, I should give you some help. If you do it completely right and it's well explained, then I know you're good on that type of problem. So do the best you can, and then make sure you get it turned in by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. And then on Tuesday, of course, we'll talk about it a little bit, and we'll see what different people's approaches were and that sort of thing. One thing you're going to find out a lot about this class, hopefully you'll find out a lot about, is participation. Participation in class is critical. I'm going to ask a ton of questions. I'm going to ask for people to give me what their ideas and their thoughts are, and sometimes you might know the answer. Sometimes you might not have any idea what the answer is. Neither one of those things should determine whether or not you participate. Please participate. I want you to be answering and at the very minimum thinking about the answers. I know some people are afraid and they don't want to speak out in front of people. I kind of find that interesting going into being a teacher because all we do is talk in front of people. But you may not quite be there yet. Okay, but please be thinking about what your answer to my question is. And so that if I ask you to share with the person next to you, you've got an idea. Don't be like, oh, what was the question? And you get that a lot from students. So I ask a ton of questions during class. I expect you to the very minimum be thinking about your answer and hopefully eventually even participating and sharing what you think, whether you're right or wrong. Sometimes the class can learn a lot from someone who's incorrect. In fact, I know they can. So the main thing that I want you to understand about this class is we are a group that is going to talk to each other a lot. We'll talk to each other in small groups or the bigger group, but there's a lot of student interaction. And the more you do, the better. More of that you do, the better the class is going to be. You're gonna realize that the class flew by and you didn't even realize we were in class. I guess that's about it. I'll tell you a couple quick little personal things. Obviously, I just mentioned I have 2 dogs. I'm going to show one of them to you here. There he is. Whoops. That's Fitzy, as in Larry Fitzgerald. And over there on the ground is Goldie, as in Paul Goldschmidt. And although I would like to take credit for the naming of those dogs, that actually wasn't me. That was my kid's naming of the dog. So that's fantastic. I have 3 kids. My oldest is a junior. He goes to Horizon High School, and he's a big baseball player. My youngest son, so my middle child, is a freshman at Cactus Shadows High School, and he runs track. And then I have a 5th grade daughter who is unbelievable, and she goes to Horseshoe Trails Elementary, and she runs track and she does soccer as well. Soccer is her main thing. She's just picked up track recently. And I have a wife who I've been married to since college, and she's an occupational therapist. So if you don't know what OTs are yet, you will learn what they are once you get your classroom, because she's in the classrooms a lot. She helps kids with disabilities, and she helps teachers when they're trying to deal with their children that have disabilities in their classroom. So she's in the classroom a lot. She works for Deer Valley Unified School District. So if in your placements, you may come across my wife sometime, and if she asks how I am, please lie and let her know that I'm a fantastic human being. No, I'm kidding, of course. Tell her the truth. She already knows it. And that's it. We've been in Arizona for our 6th or 7th year, something like that. We're from California originally. Lived there pretty much our whole life, and moved here about 6-7 years ago. Followed my sister out and my dad, who also moved here, and we love it. We really love living here. And that's about it for right now. I'm sure that I'll tell you more about my boring little life than you ever care to know, but for right now, that's it. If you have any questions on what you're supposed to do or get done, please don't hesitate to contact me, text me. I am going to be on East Coast time. I leave tomorrow, but I'll definitely be trying to get back to you as quickly as I can. So text about anything that you need. Okay, hope you have a great week, and I will see you guys on Tuesday.